Ghost from the Void. The stars hung silent against the void as the Nemesis drifted through the darkness, its engines powered down to minimal output. The warship's stealth systems hummed quietly, masking its heat signature from any patrol ships that might be scanning this sector. Captain Maya Chen stood at the command viewport, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. Her features were sharp, eyes the color of steel, hair pulled back in a tight braid that hung down her back. "Border crossing in 3 minutes, Captain," came the soft voice of Lieutenant Kara Walsh from the navigation console. Maya nodded. "Status of our countermeasures. All systems nominal. Stealth field at 93% efficiency. They won't see us coming." Maya's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The Nemesis wasn't sleek or beautiful like the ships of the galactic hegemony. It was a brute, a remnant of humanity's last desperate stand against extinction. Angular armor plating, concealed weapon bays, and engines that could outrun anything the hegemony had built in the last decade. It wasn't supposed to exist. Like humanity, it was supposed to be extinct, a ghost story aliens told their children. "Entering hegemony territory," Kara announced, her voice steady despite the weight of what they were doing. No human ship had crossed into hegemony space in 15 years, not since Earth had fallen and the colonies had gone dark. Not since the hegemony had declared the human threat neutralized and celebrated with festivals across their 1,000 worlds. "Engage silent running," Maya ordered. "Let's see how deep we can get before they notice the ghost in their machine." The Nemesis slipped across the invisible line that marked the border, its presence no more significant than a shadow. But Maya knew better. They were the spark that would ignite the fire. The hegemony had grown complacent in the years since Earth's fall. They'd forgotten what humans were capable of when cornered. They were about to remember. In the central command hub of Outpost Krell 9, Monitor Technician Drax felt the first stirrings of unease. Something had triggered a Level 2 anomaly alert on the border sensors, a momentary energy signature that didn't match any known hegemony vessel. He might have dismissed it as sensor ghosts, but the pattern was oddly specific. "Supervisor Thel," he called, mandibles clicking nervously. "I'm registering an unusual reading in Sector 17. The taller alien glided over, compound eyes scanning the display. "Debris, perhaps, or a rogue asteroid. The energy signature suggests propulsion systems, but it disappeared before I could isolate it." Thel's exoskeleton rippled with irritation. "Run a diagnostic. The sensors in that sector have been glitchy since the solar storm." Drax hesitated. "Sir, the pattern. It resembles old human tech." The hub went silent. Even mentioning humans was enough to create tension. Thel leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. "The humans are gone. Technician Drax. Their worlds burn, their colonies are dust. Do not waste my time with phantoms from a dead species." Drax lowered his head in submission, but the unease remained. He ran the diagnostic as ordered, but also sent a coded message to Central Intelligence. Just in case. Better paranoid than dead. The Nemesis glided through the darkness between stars, passing through sectors that hadn't seen a human vessel in over a decade. Maya studied the tactical display, watching as hegemony patrol routes appeared and disappeared, predicted by the ship's AI based on intercepted communications. "They'd grown sloppy," observed Commander Riker, her tactical officer. His weathered face reflected the blue glow of the console. "Patrols are predictable. Defense grids have gaps." "Complacency," Maya replied. "When you think you've killed all your predators, you stop checking under the bed." She zoomed in on their target, Valak Station, a massive hegemony communications hub that connected the outer rim worlds to the Central Authority. Not a military target. She wasn't here to start a war they couldn't win, but a symbolic one. The station processed petabytes of data every second, coordinating everything from trade to governance. "How much longer until we're in range?" she asked. 4 hours at current speed," Kara replied. "We could push the engines, but..." "No, stealth is our advantage." Maya straightened, rolling tension from her shoulders. They still don't know we're here. Let's keep it that way until... The alert klaxon cut her off. Red emergency lighting flooded the bridge. Patrol Squadron at 270, Riker called out, hands flying over his console. 3 vessels, Hunter class. They've altered course to intercept. Maya's mind raced. The patrol ships weren't on their projected route. Something had changed. Have they detected us? Uncertain, Riker replied. Their formation suggests a search pattern, not a direct intercept. They may be investigating our entry signature. Maya's fingers drummed once on the armrest of her chair. 3 possibilities. Run, hide, or fight. Running would reveal their position definitively. Hiding might work, but it would delay their mission. Which left option 3. Tactical, ready-forward pulse cannons, minimal charge. Navigation. Plot an evasive course that brings us behind a patrol formation. Engineering. Prepare for short-burst propulsion. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, no wasted motion or words. They'd drilled for this 100 times during the long journey from the hidden shipyards, where the Nemesis had been rebuilt. Closing to weapons range in 40 seconds, Riker announced. Maya leaned forward. Remember, we disable, not destroy. Target engines and weapons systems only. The patrol ships drew closer on the display, unaware of the predator stalking them. The Nemesis powered up, systems humming to life beneath Maya's feet. Fire. The pulse cannons discharged with pinpoint precision. 2 of the patrol ships immediately lost propulsion, their engines darkening as emergency systems engage. The third managed a half-turn before a second volley clipped its sensory array, sending it into a slow spin. Communications down on all 3 targets, reported the comms officer. They got a partial distress signal out, but I've scrambled the coordinates. Maya nodded. Resumed course for Dalek Station. Maximum stealth. As the Nemesis slipped away from the disabled patrol ships, Maya knew their presence in hegemony space could no longer remain a secret. The game had changed. Now it was a race against time. On the hegemony capital world of Terminus Prime, Grand Commander Zarek Vos reviewed the preliminary report with growing rage. His scaled fingers crushed the edge of the datapad, claws leaving faint scratches on the hardened surface. Confirm this, he snarled at his aide. The aide, a slender Calixi with silvery skin, trembled visibly. It has been verified, Grand Commander. The patrol ship's logs were clear before communications were lost. Energy signatures match known human weapon configurations. Impossible, Zarek hissed, pacing the length of his command chamber. We exterminated them. I personally oversaw the bombardment of their last colony on Proxima B. The evidence suggests a single vessel, military grade, but using outdated technology. Possibly a survivor ship that has remained hidden until now. Zarek's mind raced. His entire career had been built on the successful eradication of the human threat. The species had been declared officially extinct under his command, earning him accolades and his current position. If even one human warship had survived. Dispatch the 7th Fleet to the incursion zone. I want every ship, every station on high alert. Find this, ghost, and destroy it. No survivors, no evidence. Grand Commander, the 7th Fleet's deployment will be noticed by the Council. They may question. The Council will question nothing if they wish to keep breathing. Zarek snapped. Tell them it's a training exercise if you must. The aide bowed and retreated, leaving Zarek alone with his thoughts and growing dread. Humans were resilient vermin. He'd underestimated them once before, early in the war, when a single human frigate had destroyed 3 of his dreadnoughts using tactics no sane military strategist would have attempted. He still carried the scars from that encounter, both physical and to his pride. Not again, he whispered to the empty room. This time, I will finish what I started. Maya knew something was wrong when the Nemesis sensors detected massive fleet movements across 3 sectors. The hegemony was mobilizing far more resources than a single ship should warrant. They're scared, Riker observed, studying the deployment patterns. They should be, Maya replied. Captain Chen, the ghost of Antares, has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The Nemesis had reached the outer patrol zone of Valak Station. The massive installation hung in space before them, a spider web of communications relays spreading outward from a central hub. Thousands of transmissions flowed through it every second, military commands, trade manifests, propaganda broadcasts to the subjugated worlds. Approaching optimal firing position, Kara announced. Station defenses remain inactive. Maya nodded. Prepare the package. From the Nemesis's cargo bay, a swarm of tiny drones deployed, each no larger than a human hand. They carried no weapons, only data. A virus designed to infiltrate the hegemony's communications network and deliver a message to every connected world simultaneously. Drones away, Riker confirmed. ETA to insertion, 3 minutes. Maya felt a momentary pang of doubt. She planned this mission for years, gathering intelligence, rebuilding the Nemesis, assembling her crew from the scattered survivors of Earth's fall. Everything hinged on what happened in the next few minutes. An alarm blared on the tactical console. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Riker called out. 7. No, 12 vessels. Heavy cruiser configuration. Maya's blood ran cold. Identification. 7th Fleet insignia. Captain. It's him. The main view screen activated, showing the approaching hegemony vessels. At their center was a massive dreadnought, twice the size of the others, its hull decorated with the skulls of conquered species. The Executioner, Zarak's flagship. He wasn't supposed to be here, Maya whispered. Of all the hegemony commanders, Zarak's was the most dangerous and the most personal. He'd led the final assault on Earth, had broadcast his victory speech as human cities burned. Drones have reached the station, Riker reported. Virus uploading. Hegemony vessels are powering weapons, Kara added. They'll be in range in 30 seconds. Maya made her decision. Engage defensive systems. Prepare for emergency jump once the upload is complete. The Nemesis came alive, weapon systems powering up, engines building to critical output. They couldn't win a direct confrontation with the 7th Fleet, but they didn't need to. They just needed time. Upload at 60%, Riker called out. The first volley from the hegemony ship streaked across space. The Nemesis twisted, avoiding the worst of the barrage, but several hits connected. The ship shuddered beneath Maya's feet. Shields at 70%, reported the engineering officer. Minor damage to port thrusters. Upload at 85%. Another barrage, closer this time. The Nemesis returned fire, precise shots targeting weapon systems on the smaller cruisers. 2 hegemony ships fell back, their forward batteries disabled. 90%. The Executioner moved into firing position, its massive main cannon gathering energy for a killing blow. 95%. Maya gripped the edges of her command chair. Come on. Upload complete. Virus is propagating through the network. Jump now. Maya ordered. The Nemesis's engines flared brilliantly as the ship prepared to tear a hole in spacetime. Just before they jumped, Maya caught sight of the Executioner firing its main cannon, a beam of concentrated energy that would have vaporized the Nemesis instantly. But they were already gone, leaving nothing but empty space for the beam to burn through. As the Nemesis hurtled through the jump corridor, Maya allowed herself a small smile. Across hegemony space, on thousands of worlds and stations, their message would be playing now. The truth about Earth's fall, about the survivors, about the hegemony's lies. And a promise. Humanity is not extinct. We are coming back. The real war was just beginning. As the Nemesis emerged from its emergency jump deep in uncharted space, Maya's personal comms unit chimed with an encrypted message, one that wasn't from any of her crew. The sender identification made her heart stop. Dr. Elias Reed, Hegemony Science Division. A human name. Inside the hegemony. We've been waiting for you, Captain Chen, the message read. The resistance is ready. Reclamation. The Nemesis drifted in the shadow of a dead moon, its systems powered down to minimum levels. The ship's wounds from the encounter at Valak Station were still visible, scorched hull plating and patched conduits that the engineering team worked tirelessly to repair. In her private quarters, Captain Maya Chen studied the encrypted message for the 20th time, searching for any sign of deception or trap. Dr. Elias Reed. The name seemed impossible. Reed had been one of Earth's leading xenobiologists, presumed dead in the fall of the Lunar Research Station during the final days of the war. If he was alive, and working within the Hegemony Science Division, it changed everything. A soft chime at her door broke her concentration. "Enter," she called. Commander Riker stepped inside, his expression grave. "Engineering reports will be back to 80% capacity within 6 hours. Not ideal, but enough to run if we need to." Maya nodded. "And the transmission?" "Confirmed. The virus successfully penetrated the Hegemony network. Reports are already coming in through our listening posts. Riots on 3 outer colony worlds, military deployments to 6 others. They're scrambling to contain the information. A small victory, but important. The Hegemony had built its empire on lies, that humans had been warmongers, that their extinction had been necessary for galactic peace. Now those lies were beginning to unravel." "What about Reed's message?" Riker asked, nodding toward her screen. "Could it be legitimate?" Maya sighed. "The authentication codes match ones that only high-level Earth scientists would have known. If it's a trap, it's an extraordinarily well-informed one. And if it's real, then we're not as alone as we thought." She stood, decision made. "Prep a shuttle. Minimal crew, maximum stealth. I'll meet this Dr. Reed myself." Riker frowned. "Captain, with respect, that's too risky. If the Hegemony captures you, then you'll take command and continue the mission." Maya interrupted. "But I need to know if Reed is genuine. And if he is, what other survivors might be hiding in plain sight." The coordinates Reed had provided led to an asteroid mining facility in a remote system, far from the usual Hegemony patrol routes. The facility appeared abandoned, its external lights dark, no ships docked at its landing platforms. Perfect cover for a clandestine meeting. Maya piloted the shuttle herself, leaving Lieutenant Walsh with orders to retreat at the first sign of trouble. The shuttle's sensors detected minimal power signatures within the facility, enough for life support, but little else. As she docked at a secondary airlock, Maya checked her sidearm one last time. Trust but verify, as her father had always said. Her father, who had died defending Earth's last spaceport as civilians evacuated. She pushed the memory away. Focus on the present. The airlock cycled, and Maya stepped into the dimly lit corridor beyond, weapon ready. The facility smelled of recycled air and machine oil, the universal scent of space stations everywhere, human or alien. Some things never changed. "Hello, Captain Chen." The voice came from the shadows ahead. Male, human, with the careful pronunciation of someone who hadn't spoken much English recently. A figure stepped into the light. Dr. Elias Reed looked older than his file photos, hair gone completely silver, face lined with deep wrinkles, but his eyes were sharp and alert. He wore the gray uniform of a Hegemony science officer, though he'd removed the insignia of rank. "Dr. Reed," Maya acknowledged, not lowering her weapon. "You're looking well for a dead man." A tired smile crossed his face. "As are you. The daughter of General Chen, commanding humanity's last warship. Your father would be proud." "My father would want proof that you're not working for the Hegemony," Maya countered. Reed nodded. "Fair enough." He slowly reached into his pocket and withdrew a small holographic projector. "This is why I contacted you. Why I've been waiting for someone like you to appear." The projector activated, displaying a star map. Points of light blinked across it, dozens of them, spread throughout multiple sectors. "What am I looking at?" Maya asked. "Human survivors," Reed replied simply. "Hidden colonies, research outposts, resistance cells, Places the hegemony doesn't know about or has forgotten. Maya stared at the map, heart pounding. That's not possible. The final reports indicated. The final reports were incomplete. Reed interrupted. Yes, Earth fell. Yes, the major colonies were destroyed. But humanity has always excelled at one thing above all others. Survival, Maya whispered. Precisely. Reed expanded the hologram, zooming in on specific locations. This one, a mining colony that disguised itself as an automated facility. This one, a research station that faked a containment breach and has been under quarantine status for 15 years. This, an entire settlement hiding in a gas giant's upper atmosphere. Maya holstered her weapon, stepping closer to examine the map. How many? Thousands. Not millions, certainly not billions, but enough. Enough to rebuild, given time and opportunity. Reed's expression darkened. But time is running out. The hegemony has begun a new purge program, Project Aftershock. They're systematically investigating every world that once held human presence, making absolutely certain nothing was overlooked. Why now, after 15 years? Reed's smile was bitter. Because of rumors, stories of human ships appearing at the edge of sensors only to vanish again. Tales of resistance on conquered worlds being organized too efficiently for random uprisings. He gestured to the nemesis. They were afraid something like you might exist. And now, they know they were right. Maya absorbed this information, mind racing with possibilities. These survivors, are they organized? Connected? Some are. Others exist in complete isolation, believing they're the only ones left. Reed leaned forward, but they all share one thing. They're waiting for a sign that it's time to fight back. And my little stunt at Valak Station was exactly the sign they needed. Reed's eyes gleamed. The hegemony is in chaos. Their networks are compromised. For the first time in 15 years, they're afraid. Maya contemplated the map again. What's your position in the hegemony? How have you survived undercover all this time? Reed's expression clouded. I was captured during the fall of Luna. Instead of executing me, they decided my knowledge was valuable. I've been working in their xenobiology division, helping them understand other species they've conquered. His voice hardened, and sabotaging their efforts where I could. Delaying weapons development. Inserting flaws into biological agents. A dangerous game. All games with the hegemony are dangerous. He shrugged. But my position gives me access to information, including the movements of their fleets. Zarek has been recalled to the capital. The council is in emergency session. Maya raised an eyebrow. They're that worried about one ship. They're worried about what your ship represents. Hope is contagious, Captain Chen. And hope is the one thing the hegemony cannot allow its subjugated worlds to have. Back aboard the Nemesis, Maya called her senior officers together. The holographic map from Reed shimmered above the conference table, each point representing survivors they'd believed were gone forever. This changes our strategy, she told them. We're not just making symbolic strikes anymore. We're building a resistance network. Can we trust Reed's information? Riker asked, studying the map skeptically. I verified 3 of the locations already, Lieutenant Walsh replied. Long-range scans confirm human-style power signatures at each one. Disguised but detectable if you know what to look for. Maya nodded. Reed has provided us with something else too. The location of the hegemony's central data core. She brought up another image. Schematics for a massive installation buried beneath the surface of Terminus Prime, the hegemony capital. This facility contains the complete historical archives of the war with Earth. The real records, not the propaganda they've spread throughout the galaxy. Including, she paused, her voice tightening, confirmation that elements within the hegemony engineered the conflicts that led to war in the first place. A shocked silence fell over the room. They deliberately provoked Earth. Commander Lewis from Engineering asked. According to Reed, yes. They needed a pretext to eliminate humanity because their predictive models showed we would eventually challenge their dominance of the galaxy. Maya's expression hardened. They manipulated trade disputes, falsified attacks on their outposts, even assassinated their own diplomats, and blamed human separatists. Riker swore softly. And these records would prove it. Beyond any doubt, the Council kept them as insurance against each other, blackmail material to maintain their internal power balance. Maya straightened. If we can extract this data and broadcast it across the galaxy, every subjugated species would know the truth. Walsh finished. The hegemony's authority would collapse. Not just their authority, Maya corrected. Their entire narrative justifying their rule. It wouldn't just be humans rising against them. It would be everyone. The implications hung in the air. A massive undertaking, nearly impossible odds, but the potential payoff was beyond anything they'd imagined when they'd launched their one-ship crusade. How do we get to a data core beneath the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy? Riker finally asked. Maya smiled thinly. We use the chaos we've already created. Reed has provided us with access codes to a supply ship headed for Terminus Prime. A small team infiltrates, reaches the data core, and extracts the files while the Nemesis creates a diversion in orbit. That's suicide, Lewis objected. High risk, Maya conceded. But Reed has allies within the capital, humans and sympathetic aliens in key positions. With their help, we have a chance. She looked around at her officers. The last military command of a supposedly extinct species. Each had lost everything to the hegemony. Each had volunteered for what they'd believed was a one-way mission of revenge. Now, suddenly, they had hope for something more. I won't order anyone to take part in the ground mission, she said quietly. This is strictly volunteer. Riker was the first to stand. I'm in. One by one, the others joined him. The plan came together over the next 72 hours. While the Nemesis remained hidden, Maya worked with Reed to coordinate with the scattered human survivors. Messages were sent through channels the hegemony had long forgotten existed. Resources were pooled, intelligence shared. For the first time since Earth's fall, humanity was acting as a unified force again. The supply ship Reed had identified would reach Terminus Prime in 4 days. The infiltration team, led by Maya herself over Riker's objections, would board it during a scheduled maintenance stop at an outer system station. The Nemesis would remain hidden until they reached the capital, then launch an attack on the orbital defense platforms, not to destroy them, but to create a diversion and disrupt communications. The night before the operation was to begin, Maya sat alone in her quarters, reviewing the mission parameters one last time. A soft chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. Captain. It was Reed, looking grave. There's been a development. Good or bad? Both. He handed her a data tablet. One of my contacts on Terminus Prime managed to access Zerak's personal files. It seems the hegemony has been developing a new superweapon, one designed specifically to track and eliminate any remaining human genetic signatures across the galaxy. Maya skimmed the technical specifications, her blood running cold. A targeted pathogen. Reed nodded. Delivery systems are being finalized now. Once deployed, it will spread through space stations, colonies, anywhere with life support systems. For any species except humans, it's harmless. For us, complete extinction. Maya finished. No survivors this time. The project is codenamed Final Solution. Appropriate, if chilling. Reed's voice was steady, but Maya could see the fear in his eyes. It changes our timeline. The weapon will be ready for deployment in 5 days. Maya stood, decision made. Then we move now. Alert the team. We're launching the operation tonight. The infiltration went more smoothly than Maya had dared hope. Reed's access codes worked flawlessly, getting them aboard the supply ship undetected. The journey to Terminus Prime was tense, but uneventful. 3 days of hiding in cargo containers, moving only during shift changes when the skeleton crew was distracted. Now, as the ship descended toward the capital's main spaceport, Maya and her small team prepared for the most dangerous phase of the mission. The data core was 5 levels beneath the central government complex, a journey through the heart of enemy territory. Nemesis is in position. Riker's voice came through her subdermal communicator, little more than a whisper in her ear. Ready on your mark. Understood. Maintain stealth until I give the signal. The supply ship landed with a gentle shudder. Through a viewport, Maya caught her first glimpse of Terminus Prime, a sprawling metropolis of crystal towers and sweeping archways, beautiful in its alienness. Hard to believe something so lovely could house such darkness. As cargo crews began unloading the ship, Maya's team moved according to plan, using the confusion to slip into maintenance corridors. Reed's intelligence proved accurate again. The security patterns matched his predictions exactly. They were halfway to the government complex when the first alarm sounded. "We've been made," Lieutenant Kara warned, checking her tactical display. Security forces converging from 2 directions. Maya cursed silently. "Riker, we need that diversion now." "Copy that. Diversion launching in 3, 2, 1. Even deep beneath the surface, they felt the rumble as the Nemesis began its attack on the orbital platforms. Emergency lighting flashed through the corridors, and the security forces changed direction, responding to the greater threat. "Move," Maya ordered. "We won't get a better chance." They pushed forward, encountering minimal resistance. Most of the security personnel had been pulled to defend against the orbital attack. Those few they encountered were quickly subdued, stunned, not killed. This wasn't about revenge anymore. The data core itself was a massive chamber, its walls lined with quantum storage arrays pulsing with soft blue light. At its center stood a cylindrical access terminal. "Cover the door," Maya ordered as she and Reed approached the terminal. "This won't take long." Reed's fingers flew over the interface, bypassing security protocols with practiced ease. "The hegemony never changes their fundamental architecture," he explained. "Arrogance. They can't imagine anyone would dare infiltrate this deep." The screens flickered, then displayed row after row of classified files. Reed began the download process, transferring the data to specialized storage devices they'd brought for this purpose. 70% complete, he reported after several tense minutes. "These files, Maya, it's even worse than I thought. They didn't just provoke the war. They engineered biological weapons specifically for humans years before the conflict began. They always intended to wipe us out." Maya's reply died in her throat as the main door to the chamber hissed open. Standing in the entrance, flanked by elite guards, was the towering figure of Grand Commander Zarek Voss. "Captain Chen," he said, reptilian features twisting into what might have been a smile. "The ghost herself. How kind of you to deliver yourself to me personally." Maya raised her weapon, but Zarek's guards already had them covered from multiple angles. Impossible odds, even for her team. "Commander Voss," she replied coolly, "still having nightmares about humans under your bed." His scales flush darker with anger. "Defiant to the end. Just like your father was before I executed him personally." The words hit Maya like a physical blow, but she kept her expression neutral. "Did he scare you too?" Zarek motioned to his guards. "Take them. The human advisor as well. I want them alive for public execution. Let the galaxy see the last of humanity die properly this time." "Download complete," Reed whispered. Maya met Zarek's gaze steadily. "You're too late. The truth is already out." "What truth?" Zarek scoffed. "That humans were a plague. That your removal was necessary for galactic peace. The Council has known this for generations." "No," Maya said quietly. "The truth that you engineered the entire conflict. That you murdered your own people to create an excuse for genocide. That everything the hegemony stands for is built on lies." For a moment, just a moment, uncertainty flickered in Zarek's eyes. Then his communicator chimed with an urgent alert. "Grand Commander," came a panicked voice. "The orbital platforms, they've all been compromised. Our communications network is broadcasting unauthorized data across all channels. We can't shut it down." Maya smiled. While Zarak had been focused on capturing them, Riker had implemented the second phase of their plan, using the Nemesis's advanced electronic warfare systems to hijack the hegemony's own network. "What is happening?" Zarak demanded, turning to his aide. It's our own classified records, sir. Historical files about the human war. Internal communications from the Council. Everything is being broadcast. Every world, every station. Everyone can see it." Zarak's face contorted with rage. He drew his ceremonial blade, lunging toward Maya with murderous intent, only to freeze as Reed stepped between them, a small device in his hand. "I wouldn't," the scientist said calmly. "This transmitter is keyed to my vital signs. If I die, it sends a signal that will trigger dormant viruses I've planted in your biological research facilities over the past 15 years, including the one developing your precious final solution." Zarak hesitated, blade still raised. "You can kill us," Reed continued, "but humanity will survive. And now, every subjugated species in your empire knows exactly what you are. What do you think they'll do with that information, Commander?" As if in answer, another alert sounded, and another. Reports of uprisings on multiple worlds, of hegemony ships being commandeered by their own crews, of regional governors being overthrown. In the confusion, Maya activated her emergency beacon. Above, the Nemesis would be tracking her position, preparing for extraction. "It's over, Zarak," she said softly. "Not just for you. For everything you built." The Grand Commander's features contorted with helpless fury as the reality of his situation dawned on him, his perfect empire, crumbling before his eyes. "You've doomed us all," he snarled. "Without the hegemony's control, the galaxy will descend into chaos. Wars will erupt between species. Billions will die. Perhaps," Maya conceded, "or perhaps we'll build something better from the ashes. Something based on truth rather than lies." The ceiling above them suddenly exploded inward as precision charges detonated. Through the newly created hole descended Nemesis assault shuttles, weapons trained on Zarak and his guards. "Your call, Commander," Maya said as her crew secured the room. "Die here, clinging to your lies, or survive to face justice for what you've done." Zarak's elite guards, seeing the situation was hopeless, lowered their weapons one by one. Zarak himself stood frozen, decades of supremacy and certainty crumbling around him. "Take him," Maya ordered. "He'll stand trial for what he's done." As her team secured the hegemony commander, Maya turned to Reed. "How long until full evacuation?" 3 minutes. The Nemesis can't hold this position much longer." Maya nodded, watching as her crew efficiently loaded the precious data cores onto the shuttles. Not just evidence of the hegemony's crimes, but the location of every human enclave, every resistance cell, the blueprint for rebuilding. "Captain," called one of her officers, "you need to see this." On a still-functioning display screen, Maya watched as reports flooded in from across hegemony space. The transmission had reached everywhere: core worlds, frontier outposts, subjugated colonies. And the response was immediate. 15 years of resentment and oppression had erupted into open rebellion. Not just humans, dozens of species united against their common oppressor. "It's not just a rebellion," Reed said quietly, standing beside her. "It's a revolution." 1 month later, Maya stood on the observation deck of the Nemesis, watching as ships gathered in the neutral space around them. Not just human vessels, though those had emerged from hiding in surprising numbers, but representatives from a dozen formerly subjugated species. "The Provisional Council is ready, Captain," Riker informed her. Maya nodded. "And our special guest, under heavy guard, still protesting his innocence, of course." Maya smiled grimly. Zarak would face justice, along with the other hegemony leaders who had survived the initial uprising. Their trials would be public, broadcast on the same networks they had once controlled. The council chamber, hastily established aboard a converted hegemony diplomatic vessel, fell silent as Maya entered. Faces turned toward her, some human, many not. Former enemies united by a common cause. 3 weeks ago, she began, the galaxy learned the truth about the hegemony, about the lies that justified genocide, that kept dozens of species in subjugation. Today, we begin the process of building something new. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative in turn. Not a new empire, not a human dominion, but a true alliance founded on equality and transparency. We've seen what happens when one species decides it has the right to rule over others. We won't repeat that mistake. From his place in the secured witness box, Zurak watched with impotent fury. "You're a fool, Chin," he spat. "Cooperation between species is a fantasy. Power is the only language the galaxy understands." Maya regarded him coolly. "That's where you're wrong, Commander. And that's why you lost." She turned back to the gathered representatives. "Humanity survived because we refused to be erased. Because even in our darkest hour, we held on to hope. That's what we offer now to every world, every species that suffered under hegemony rule. Not vengeance. Hope." Dr. Reed, standing near the human delegation, nodded slightly. In his hand was a small data crystal, containing the locations of all known human enclaves. No longer would they need to hide. As the council began its first official session, Maya stepped back, allowing the representatives to take center stage. Her mission had been completed. The Nemesis had done what seemed impossible, sparked a revolution that toppled an empire. But the real work was just beginning. Later, alone on the observation deck, Maya watched distant stars glimmer against the void. Somewhere among them, human colonies were emerging from hiding, reconnecting with one another after years of isolation. Earth was gone, but its people lived on. "Your father would be proud," Reed said, joining her at the viewport. Maya nodded, throat tight with emotion. "He always said humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our adaptability." "What was it then?" She smiled, remembering her father's words on that last day, as evacuation ships fled a dying Earth. "Our stubbornness. Our refusal to accept defeat, even when logic says we should." Beyond the viewport, ships from a dozen worlds moved in complex patterns, establishing patrols, coordinating relief efforts for worlds thrown into chaos by the hegemony's fall. Former enemies working together, not perfectly, not without friction, but with determination. "What will you do now?" Reed asked. "The war you prepared for is over." Maya watched as a small fleet of newly revealed human ships approached the Nemesis, survivors answering the call to rebuild. "Now," she said, "we find our way home. Not to Earth. That world was lost to them. But to something new, something built not on conquest or vengeance, but on the shared experience of survival against impossible odds." From a lone warship crossing forbidden borders to the spark that ignited a galaxy-wide revolution, the story of the Nemesis would be told for generations to come. Not as a ghost story, but as a promise. Humanity had returned from the edge of extinction, and this time, they weren't alone.